Hi, this is The Greatest Story Ever Played. I'm Dan, and today I'm going to talk about Haven Park. Alright, a description for this game is B. Flint, who was doing his best to keep his grandma's park up and running, and to make it a place for campers to enjoy. Learn campers' wishes and build whatever their hearts desire to attract even more quirky characters and look forward to whimsical conversations and quest. Alright. And our production for this was developed by Bubblebird Studio. This was actually their first game, and they have an upcoming game called Trackline Express that I believe is due out sometime this year. So, newer studio, and this is their inaugural game. So, I guess getting into this, for non-spoiler thoughts, really, I would say that this game is kind of a Animal Crossing meets a short hike. On the Animal Crossing side of things, you've got resource management, you've got kind of a wide group of characters, and a lot of like positive vibes, I would say. It feels relaxing, sort of that relaxing sim kind of thing. Sim resource management type of deal. So I'd say that's what you get from the Animal Crossing side of things. On the other side, with a short hike, I would say what you get are your character's a bird, also, who, like a young adult bird, just like in a short hike. You are, a short hike is set in a park, I think with like camping and stuff, and this, or is set at a park, this is set at a camp. So I feel like there's a lot of similarities in terms of your setting and sort of vibe in that way. And then also, like in a short hike, Haven Park is sort of a small open world, so to speak, or almost this like little big game sort of feel. I remember in a short hike, it's this nice little indie game, but then also, whoa, your map's actually kind of big. And I felt the same way with Haven Park of, oh wow, there's a lot to do here actually. Even though it's like a short hike, I think a short hike was like 3 hours, or 2 hours, something like that. This is similarly small. I think it's around 4 hours. So again, not a large game in terms of length, but your world is pretty open and gives you a lot of things to kind of explore and engage with. I think also the vibes kind of follow each of these. I think if you like a short hike and the vibes that came with that and what that kind of game was like, I think Haven Park would match up for you. And then similarly with Animal Crossing, same kind of deal. If that kind of stuff meshed with you, I think that this would. So I would say, I guess with that description, if you like those things, you'd probably like this game. I would throw it on a wish list. I would pick it up. I think it would be worth your time and you would enjoy it, especially if you're looking for some positive content like that. I think this really brought that. I think kind of other things for non-spoiler thoughts. I guess for me going into this, getting some positive vibes like that, super nice. As you all know, I don't play lots of games with positive vibes, but I do play some with positive vibes, and I think this one showed up at a good time. So I did like it for that. I also think just in terms of the kind of game they built, I'm intrigued by this Trackline Express that they have coming out. I think Haven Park is worth playing, and I'm interested in what this developer will do going forward. I think this was a nice inaugural game for them, and set them up well. I think right now it's just on Switch and like PC. So I hope that it branches out more. I don't know if it would go on other consoles or if you got it on mobile, or I feel like this could be one of those games that would probably be good on Netflix, for how they've kind of have the Netflix mobile games. I could see that being good. But yeah, I would say those are my non-spoiler thoughts overall. From here, I'll move into sort of my recap or more into the spoiler section. As kind of said in the beginning, since it does have some similarities to Animal Crossing, there isn't really a full-blown recap like you'd have there. Instead, it's sort of, here's what you do sort of thing. So, yeah, with that, I'll hop over to kind of our spoilers section. So, okay, the game itself, how it begins is, so you've got your character Flint, and you are at your grandma's house, which is in kind of the middle of the park, talking with her. And she is really old, and you are, I don't know, young adult, maybe late teens, early college, late high school, something like that, in sort of that range. And you're talking with your grandma sort of about your memories at the park. You grew up going to this park, and so this park has been significant to you and your grandma and your relationship, and for your grandma for a long time since she's run it for years. And you're just kind of talking about it, and your grandma says, you know, with me being older and not doing as well physically, I've kind of let the park fall into a state of disrepair. It's just been too much for me. So could you go and start kind of repairing the park, putting some things back together, and kind of taking over a bit in my stead? And you're like, okay, cool. And sort of set off for that. And you get this kind of fun feeling starting off of the park being kind of becoming reacquainted with somewhere that was close to you. I feel like it would be like maybe visiting your childhood home or something like that. Or if, obviously, if you went to a camp as a child and then, I don't know, maybe came back as a counselor or something like that. There would be this like, oh, this is new but familiar. I think that Flint is going through a bit of that at the beginning of this, of having kind of these fond memories of the park, but then kind of rediscovering it and making it his own again. So the way the camp is set up is your map for the camp itself is rather large. There's actually 12 campsites that you can discover kind of scattered across the map, and some of them are sort of insignificant in their location. It might be like dock on the west side or something like that. And so it's, not too big of a location necessarily of what's there, or, this is the field where a campsite can be placed. But then also there are other ones that are maybe like more significant sites for the camp at large. So like there's a Black Castle in there, and you can set up a campsite there. And so you've got 12 of these scattered throughout. With each campsite, you kind of build a fire pit, and that's what kind of starts your campsite. So with your campsites, you can't just build one anywhere. You also have boundaries within your campsite. So you couldn't like found a campsite somewhere and then just a ways away, build your next piece. Instead, you have to hone in the area they give you. So some of these campsites are rather large. You can put a lot on them. Other ones a bit smaller, and so your real estate there is a bit smaller for what you can build. So when you build a campsite, first thing you do is you build your lodging situation. So you could do something more low-key, like a tent or a teepee, or you could do something bigger, like a cottage or a bungalow kind of thing. And as you build those, you will start to have campers arrive because you've created a place for them to lodge. They might say, oh, I could really use some food. Could you maybe make something like that? And so in each campsite, there are kind of 4 primary things you can build. First, you build the living situation. You've got your lodging. Next up, you can build food. So that could be something like a grill or a barbecue pit, perhaps an ice cream stand, or even a food truck. So those are kind of your options along there. You also can build kind of activities or things for fun. So that might be, this camp has a radio, or this camp has a pool or fireworks. And then lastly, decorations. So that could be like streamers or flowers or like a torch, stuff like that. And for all of these things, as you customize each camp, each thing costs different resources. So this is where your resource management really comes into play, is when you're exploring, you're gathering resources. There might be like a stick on the ground, or you might find a barrel that has some metal and wood on it. You might find some fabric, whatever, that sort of stuff. And then each of the things you can build at your camp cost different money. Of your camps, most of them can hold 3 campers, and then there are a few that only hold 2, that are kind of your smaller ones. And so as you're kind of building up, campers will come, they'll talk to you and engage with you. Oh, I'm having a nice time at this park, whatever. Oh, I could use food, whatever. And so that's kind of one side of it. And that's one of your first, I think that's your first quest when you start the game, is go discover all 12 campsites. That's one of your guiding lights kind of thing. So, campsites, that's one part of the game. Another part of the game is repairing stuff along the way. So, as said earlier, everything's been in sort of a state of disrepair. And so you might be walking along and you see a fence that's fallen down. Well, okay, cool. You can spend some resources. Boom, new fence. Or you might find a light post that's broken. Or one thing you find after a bit of searching is there's actually like a ski lift that's broken. And once you fix that, you're able to go up high into the mountains and hit a couple campsites up there that you couldn't walk to. You actually would need the ski lift to get there. So kind of cool. Just kind of doing the upkeep of the park. How would I make this a nice park? And people will even comment along the way on things of either, hey, I saw something that was broken over there. And you're like, oh, cool, thank you for letting me know. Or they'll say, wow, this park is looking really nice. The signs are all put together. Everything's looking awesome. So you get that. And then last kind of thing that is common is there are small quests that you can do. You get sort of side quest. So one of the ones that you get early on is someone asks you to deliver a letter to someone else who lives at the camp. And so when you find their house, you can drop that letter off. Or there's a camper you find who asks you to play hide and seek. And so then when you're around the camp, you look for them and try to find them. Or there's another one where there's sort of this legend of the Yellow Baron whose plane had crashed somewhere near this park. And if you find the Yellow Baron's plane, then you'll kind of solve that legend. So they're kind of just things like that. Little activities that you can do as you kind of wander around. There's a part where there's a mine. You can find a mine, and there's some things to do in there. So they give you quite a bit to do, I would say. A lot of different options, I would say, in there. So that's kind of how you play the game. Moving into kind of story near the end of the game, or at the end of the game, the main story of it, your grandma asks you to meet her at Pilgrim's Peak, which is kind of the highest point of the park. You end up actually having to get shot through a cannon to get there, which is pretty fun. And when you get there, your grandma's on a bench, and you go and talk with her, and she talks about how proud she is of you and of everything you've done at the park, that you've really transformed it. It's been really cool for you to do that she's really proud of you and cares about you. And you kind of express some of those things and your love for her, and then kind of fades out and grandma's died. She's gone. And so now it's you. You're in charge of the park. Grandma's given you this responsibility, and now she's gone. You are the one who's going to carry on her legacy, her tradition. You're going to run the park and make a great park for campers to visit and enjoy. And so really that's the game itself. Moving on to some general thoughts. One thing I really liked in this game is pretty much every camper I came across are really positive and really grateful. I found this to be really nice. Just when you talk to someone, they might say like, wow, this is such a cool park. I've never been here before. I'm loving it. Or I used to come here as a kid and I'm really enjoying it. Or, hey, you're doing a really great job. Thanks for taking care of this camp. That kind of comments. And that was really nice. I don't know. I feel like this game maybe just showed up for me at the right time. I feel like my life has been a little more chaotic recently. It's just been busier. And as you all know, a lot of the games I play aren't always the most positive of content. Some of them are, but not always. And so this was a really nice change. Instead, for this, like a lot of Switch games, I played this on my lunch breaks at work. So sit down and play for a half an hour. And it was really enjoyable, just as a nice sort of break in the middle of the day, going, enjoying this camp, making this camp a little better, having people be nice, and then kind of getting back out. It made for a really enjoyable thing. I think that this, is a good game, is enjoyable, and that positivity was nice. So I feel like if anyone's looking for more positive vibes, whether in the Animal Crossing or a short hike kind of realms, I think that this would be a good, enjoyable game to add to your life for that. I'm trying to think of anything else about this game that's too notable. Honestly, I think it's mostly an experience kind of game. I know I don't have tons to say about it, and it's not from a lack of enjoyment. Instead, I think that it's just the experience of kind of the ease. I don't think I said this earlier. The game's about 4 hours, so it's not that big. I think it worked great for over the course of maybe a week and a half, just playing on lunch breaks and getting engaged to it and enjoying what was going on. Yeah, I think they did a good job. I think they made an enjoyable sim. I hope that this gets added to other stuff and more people can enjoy it. I would throw it on a wish list. I think that I picked it up for like $5 on Switch, on a Switch sale, and it was totally worth it. Totally an enjoyable time. I think also right now, I guess for me, of what made this probably click for me too, is it's starting to warm up where I live, and so it's getting nice. Like I went on a hike over the weekend, things like that. Those vibes are there, both in the game and in my life, and so I feel like it was a good, oh cool, being in nature sort of feel for a game. And I don't know, that's definitely the kind of game I crave as like the weather around me is getting nicer, as I want to be outside, as I want to do hiking and things like that. So that was pretty nice. So I would say that if you were classifying with games, this would pair well with a short hike or a fire watch of just, oh, I want some kind of naturey type of games. Obviously in different ways, this one being the most chill of those, but yeah, I don't know. Nice stuff. Yeah, that's really all I've got about this game. If you have anything about Haven Park that you'd like to say, if you've gotten to play it and have some thoughts, I'd love to hear them. You can message me on Twitter at StoryEverPod. Our website's TheGreatestStoryEverPlayed.com. There we've got a backlog of all of our episodes, including a short hike and Animal Crossing and Firewatch. All of those are kind of there. If you would like to rate and review the podcast on Apple Podcast or Spotify, that would be really helpful in just being able to help share the show with more people and enjoy games together. If you'd like to support the podcast financially, that would also be a huge help. You can do that at patreon.com/thegreateststoryeverplayed. There, for as little as $1 per month, that will get you monthly bonus access to episodes that we do. We put out a monthly bonus episode an episode each month. And they're pretty topical in nature, so sometimes they're video game related, sometimes they're not. So one of our early episodes was we talked about our favorite Pokemon. More recently, I shared my thoughts on The Last of Us HBO show. I also did an episode recently where I compared the Uncharted video games to the Tomb Raider video games from the reboot and kind of what I thought about them and ranked them and all of that. So if any of that sounds like stuff you'd be into, yeah, go check that out. Would definitely appreciate the support. But yeah, thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you next time.